SimTheWorld here. We are back in our Car Mechanic Simulator 2018 playthrough series. Today we've got a new story order. And from the looks of things, I'm not quite sure what they want done. Like, this car looks very similar to a couple we've done on our full restoration series. It looks just fantastic. What could be Oh my. It looks pretty empty in there. Let's see what it says. Hello, a friend of mine has recommended you as being the expert to go to. Anyway, I bought this car at an auction. I guess it is used as parts donor, but I've decided to fix her. See what parts are missing and put her back together. Thank you. And interestingly enough, it looks like all of the parts are marked for us, which is surprising. We don't have to do any testing. We don't have to do any digging. We're gonna need a battery. Yeah, let me go grab that battery. So I think that's the only other part I need to pick up. Let's go ahead and throw that up on the lifter. We got quite some work ahead of us. So this is going to be a full engine build. However, yeah, let's pop in here and see what I can put in. I don't see any reason why we need to pull the engine out. I think we can get to a lot of it right here. Because then we'd have to take the drive shaft out and then take the transmission off just to pull the engine. Since it's on the lifter, and of course if this was real life, I'd be screaming, you know, pull the engine out, work on it on some sort of surface, or, you know, on an engine stand, do something other than trying to work around the radiator and all this stuff. But since this is a game, I can float through these items, we can float through the frame, and the hardest part is just getting a camera angle. Everything else is a piece of cake. But yeah, this is nice. Get the pistons in. Ooh, I need some rings too. Didn't come with any rings. Let's see. Now, I think there are already some pistons in here, but I'm picking up 8 just to be on the safe side. Any extra, I'm sure there will be another engine job waiting for us in no time. Yeah, we can get through and do a lot of this car just from... We should be able to do most of the engine up top here, and then we'll just put in the oil pan and attach these piston rods to the crankshaft. Probably the complete wrong way of doing this job. Like, I wouldn't want to install pistons but not attach them to the crankshaft until the very end. But that's why this is just a game. Let's get the push rods in. There are so many of these. I like that in the different engines, like the DLC engines, they did rocker arms that come in one piece, so you don't have to install these individually. Though, of course, it is more realistic like this. I wish there was ways, maybe in a future title, you could see playing around with some of the clearances on those, getting those situated just right, rather than just screwing them in and calling it a day. Probably not the most realistic. That would introduce a cool aspect of being able to tune your engine based on not just the tuning parts you use, but how you actually tune it. You could go further, playing around with the carburetor, different settings there. All sorts of directions they could take this game. And the spark plugs are in. Get the exhaust manifold on. This job, we are just cruising right along. I won't forget the clips either, because this car didn't come with any. I had to buy new clips. I couldn't just use a piece of scrap metal off the floor, bend that into something that looked like a clip. Let's get this side, all the push rods in. Once this car is done, this customer is going to have like a brand new car. I feel like we're handing everyone a brand new engine these days. Past few episodes, you get an engine, you get an engine. Everybody gets an engine. I'm still waiting for my new engine. A V8 would be great. That is not what I have today. I don't know where I'd fit a V8 though in an Escape. But I'd find a way. Push the front seats back a little bit. Cut out some of the leg room in the back seats. You can make it work. Yes, if you are looking to learn how to build an engine, this game is not the game for you. You'll learn your parts. But right now, we're installing the air filter on the top of this engine as if we're completely done. All the accessory belts, all the pulleys, everything's taken care of. But the pistons are yet to be completely screwed on. Yeah, look at that. Gotta get the rod cap on there. This should have been definitely sealed up and ready to go long before we got to this step. But if I only have to lift this car up once to do all this, at least in game, that will save you guys time, that saves me time. Who doesn't like that? I think we are almost done too. Get that oil pan on. It's even got an oil filter already. Wow. At least it came with that. I think we will need to put oil in it. I think it said drain the oil, but is an engine block. There was no oil in there. We will put fresh stuff in, and this should wrap up our order. Yeah, look at that. We chugged through it. We got through. It was a quick one. Finishing that engine too got us up to 93% global parts condition. So there aren't too many more parts in the car left to replace. Wow, these last few orders, these have been such a nice treat. I don't mind, throwing some stuff on an engine like that. I do mind pulling out pistons and crankshafts while I'm also replacing the whole back suspension of a vehicle. Hopefully you guys are having fun with these videos. We're getting close to the end of the series, so I'm getting quite excited to see what these last few orders look like. Hope you guys are too. Thanks for watching as I simulate my life one game at a time. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to hit subscribe so you don't miss any of the future action. You can follow on Twitter for updates to future games being played, as well as follow on Twitch as I try to stream 3 days a week. Thanks, and I'll see you next time at SimTheWorld.